Our members face dynamic situations every day where they have to decide very quickly how to preserve life and protect public safety in unpredictable and chaotic situations. Our officers' actions are often determined by the behavior of a subject or situation they are dealing with. Our members do everything they can to resolve all situations peacefully with as little force as necessary. However, last night was one of those situations where force was used. At approximately 8:10 p.m., our officers were called to a convenience store in the 4600 block of 37th Street Southwest. They were called in response to a man in the store who had pulled a knife. Other people were in the store, feared for their safety, and called 911. Our members arrived, helped evacuate the store, and contain the scene. During the course of our response, it appears that the suspect started a fire inside the store, which created another hazard for himself, for our members, and the public, as smoke quickly filled the building. During the incident, our officers engaged in verbal communication to attempt to resolve the situation. However, they also found themselves in circumstances where they employed the use of a tasers, a police canine, and at one point, the use of a service firearm. How and when these methods were used will form part of ASERT's investigation, but I can tell you we are fully cooperating with them. In total, our members were on scene for approximately 30 minutes before a firearm was discharged. The man was taken to hospital with serious injuries. Three of our officers were examined on scene for smoke inhalation, and we also know now that one of our officers injured his hand during the incident. There are currently 2 officers who are the focus of the ASERT investigation. One has been a member of the Calgary Police Service for 9 years, and the other has been a member for 15 years. They both have been placed on a standard 30-day administrative leave to give them time to process the incident in a healthy fashion before returning to work. This is standard practice for our service for any officer that's been involved in one of these incidents, in an officer-involved shooting. I can tell you they have the full support of the Calgary Police Service. We would also like to thank the Calgary Fire Department and EMS for their significant support during this incident. Their professionalism and strong working relationship with our officers were critical to protecting the public, our members, and ultimately the subject. To respect the parameters of the ASERT investigation, we are not able to provide further information on the incident and the actions of our officers. We will provide all information necessary for ASERT to conduct a thorough investigation that ensures public trust is maintained through transparency, accountability, and effective oversight. I can now answer any questions you may have.
Just to clarify your statements, or to make sure I've got it right, he wasn't just shot. There were other forms of things used, such as the taser and then the dog.
Yes, as mentioned, we, and I can't speak to the sequence of what was deployed when, but everything from verbal communication, de-escalation tactics, the CW, the use of a canine, deploying a dog, and then the use of a service firearm.
Sorry, what's a CW?
A taser, sorry, connected energy weapon.
And was he stunned with it?
Again, that will make up part of ASERT's investigation.
So we say used a taser?
Pardon me?
We should say used or deployed?
We deployed a taser.
Okay. Where was he shot?
Again, that will make up part of ASERT's investigation. I apologize to have to.
Okay, we're going to keep asking.
Yeah, and I'll probably repeat myself, but I apologize again, respecting of ASERT and their governance role here, their oversight role.
Approximately how old is he, or how old is the suspect?
I believe he's in his 20s.
And is he known to police?
The individual we have had dealings with in the past, but I would leave it at that.
Okay. The officer who discharged the firearm, is that 15-year member or the 9-year member?
I believe that's the 15-year member.
Is that the person that also deployed the taser then?
Again, I can't speak to the sequence or who deployed what from that point forward.
Well, just to maybe ask the same thing a different way, why would 2 members be the focus of an ASERT investigation when one probably pulled the trigger?
So this is, again, respectful of ASERT and their oversight in this. They are the governing body in that they make the decisions, and we respect that and work with them through the investigation. So we don't, basically I'm saying it's up to them.
regarding the fire, can you give us more indication how it started and the complications that may have arose because of it?
I won't get into too much information about how it started. I can say that it was started in the store once our officers were on scene dealing with the subject. But what I will tell you, and I think it's evident to anybody that can imagine this, it becomes an extremely volatile and chaotic incident. I can tell you that smoke began to become an issue within that building. For our officers responding to this, for our officers trying to de-escalate the situation, obviously for the subject himself, and then we have to look at this is in an area where it's there's other attached businesses and buildings. It becomes a public safety incident for the general population, general public.
Was mental health an issue or a factor in this call?
Again, that's something that I think will come out as a result of ASERT's investigation. I'm not in a position right now, and I don't have the information to tell you. I think we'll see that the individual is being treated in hospital. We'll gain more information, as I say, as ASERT carries out their investigation.
And can you say how many shots were fired?
Again, that makes up part of ASERT's investigation.
Can you describe his behavior, though, before this incident happened? What was he acting like? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think if you look at our officers were called there. He came into the business with a knife, and he was threatening. He was erratic behavior inside that caused people to leave. Some people to leave, and caused our officers to evacuate the rest of the business. And from there, we attempted for over approximately 30 minutes, trying to talk the individual into a peaceful resolution. And again, I can't overemphasize that our officers do everything in their ability to minimize use of force and not use lethal force. But certain situations are outside of their control, I think is the best way that I can say that.
Was he trying to rob the store? He was threatening. Was this an attempted robbery?
I don't have that information that it would be that. I think it was more erratic behavior.
What condition is he in now?
He's in stable condition.
Was their safety at risk, the officer's safety at risk at any point? Was this kind of what precipitated this, or is this an ASERT question?
I think when we look at it, there was a public safety concern. If you go back to what I said, where the individual comes in, acting erratically, has a knife, is engaging members of the public, our officers then go there. They're faced with that same situation. So I think it's safe to say that there are safety issues there, but ASERT can speak specifically going forward.
Presumably there was CCTV footage at the store. Who would have that video?
Again, that makes up part of ASERT's file in their investigation.
This is the second officer-involved shooting in less than 2 weeks. Can you speak to, I guess, probably some concern coming from the public, and does that number seem high to you?
I think the best way I can answer that is anytime we have officer-involved shootings, anytime that we have interactions with the public, that's concerning. It's concerning for our officers. It takes a huge toll on our officers and their safety and well-being. It takes a huge toll on public trust and confidence and our involvement within the community. That's the point, though, that I have to say we do everything in our powers. Our officers come to work day in and day out. They're well trained. They have the commitment to serve the citizens and serve the public, and nobody wants to come to work to get into a situation like this. It would be wrong for me to try and draw any type of correlation between two completely independent incidents, and more speak to the fact that these incidents happen. We see the violence and some of the trends in our city that we're dealing with, and that impacts, again, all of those same factors, the public trust and confidence in their police service and our officers' ability. We're all facing these similar challenges, and I think it's a broader issue than an officer-involved shooting.
What happens next for these officers involved? There's the 30-day leave that you talked about. They obviously, I assume, go through some sort of debrief, and is there counseling, and is it back on the job after 30 days?
we treat every one of these incidents and every one of the officers that are involved in these incidents independently. So we have highly trained and competent professionals that help our officers work through these situations and work through, and as I say, processing this and the tolls that this takes on their families and such. They work through this in a healthy fashion to the point where they're healthy, and when we have that confidence, they are returned to work.
Also, any update on the staffing this morning?